On behalf of the John Carroll University Entrepreneurs Association, a job near home in the E2e channel, we are thoroughly pleased to introduce to you Mark Hauserman, who is the Executive Director of the Entrepreneurs Association at John Carroll University. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me, Bob.
Before we get into the association itself, let's talk briefly about your experiences in being an entrepreneur. Tell me about how you started.
Well, I started out at John Carroll. I was a John Carroll graduate, and I went to the Army from John Carroll and flew helicopters, had an opportunity to go around the world.
Flew helicopters in Vietnam.
Yes, and which is always a fun experience.
Sure.
And went from there to Germany, where I was in the 3rd Infantry Division, which is now world famous, and had some really great opportunities in the service. I, in the 3rd Infantry Division, ran the S&T Battalion Operations, which was a job that was 2 pay grades ahead of the grade I was currently in. I left the service.
As a captain, right?
As a captain, yes. I left the service and went to Indiana University to their MBA program. And I wanted to study logistics, but they didn't have a logistics major at that time. So I ended up with a triple major, marketing, finance, and transportation.
Okay.
So I can tell you where all the gas stations are in Ohio and why there are too many of them. I left Indiana and went to the family business, the old E.F. Hauserman Company.
Absolutely.
And there I was assigned to the finance function because I had a finance degree from Indiana. And the first task they gave me was to do a study of the top 25 earners in the company. 16 of the 25 were salesmen. So I called up my uncle and I said, "Uncle Bill, I'd like to go into sales." And he said, "Great." And they transferred me to Atlanta, Georgia, to train under one of the top sales managers in the company. And I went from 17,000, which were MBA wages back in those days, to about 50,000 in 2 years. And I called my uncle up and I said, "Uncle Bill, I've found myself." I did fairly well in Atlanta, and so they transferred me to Rochester, New York, where I became the branch manager and turned over 2 of the larger accounts in the company, Kodak and Xerox, which represented about 5% of their overall revenue. And was there for a couple of years and then was moved back to Cleveland, where I became branch manager for the Cleveland region. And it was a lot of fun. We were at 2.7 million when I arrived, and 2 years later we were at 9 million.
And then eventually you and Andrea, your beautiful wife, decided to adopt some children, and it was time to quit traveling.
Exactly right. But before we did that, I got into managing my own businesses. I left the family business and bought a small division of the family company and took that out, took it private, and then over the next 20 years developed 6 different businesses that I owned and ran. And once we were made the decision to adopt John and Sarah, Andrea explained to me that I was not going to be traveling as much as I had been. And so I left my own businesses, we sold our businesses, and I was a friend of Dr. Frank Navitrile, who at that time was Dean of the School of Business, and he invited me to come out and take a look at running the Entrepreneurs Association, which he said might be a lot of fun because having run companies, he thought I'd relate very well to the people who were members of the Entrepreneurs Association.
Let's talk about the Entrepreneurs Association. What is our purpose? What is your job within the association? What can new members or members expect to get out of it?
Well, our mission statement is to help you grow your business and increase your wealth. The premise that we're operating under, Bob, is that if you are a startup, if you're a technology transfer type of a business, there are a lot of people in the region who are interested in helping you, and they're partners of ours, and they're terrific organizations. People like Jumpstart, like Cozy, like all the clinic with their tech transfer, Akron, Kent case. And we looked at our background as an institution and said, you know, John Carroll has always been a small middle market family business type of institution. There are over 500 companies in the northeastern Ohio area that are either owned or run by John Carroll graduates. So as we looked at our place in the business environment, we felt that it was important to address the types of companies that our graduates typically ran. And we found out that, as was my experience when I was running my own companies, if you have a strong middle market company and you are successful, nobody cares about you.
Right.
There's a very small list of people, starting with your spouse, your attorney, and your accountant.
Right.
And then the list gets pretty small after that.
Right. If you're a startup, everybody loves
Everybody
you.
loves
If you're
you.
huge, everybody wants to sell to you. Right.
So we picked as our standard businesses that have been in business over 5 years and have at least $1 million in revenue. Our typical company has revenues of about $11 million. There are over 200 companies that are members. And I should say it's an individual membership. We're actually interested in working with the business owner to make them a better owner. And one of the things that unites everybody that's in our organization is that they are students of business. They are interested in running their company better and in succeeding mightily in growing their company. So it's been very interesting that we have had this remarkable growth. When I started 3 years ago, our average revenue per company was about $1.8 million, and we had 84 companies. We're now, as I said, just over 11 million with over 200 companies.
You know, one of the things that's impressed me in the last 2.5 years that I've been a master member is the quality and cooperativeness of every single member in the EA. How have you accomplished that?
Well, you start out with, I think, the right ingredients. The members of the EA are all principal shareholders of their company. We have a requirement that those who are not principal shareholders, what we call professional members, these are lawyers, accountants, et cetera, who typically provide services to entrepreneurs, are limited to 20% of our overall membership.
Okay.
They have to have been in their practice for 15 years. So they tend to be very high-level people in their organization. And I think that all of the people that are in the EA understand what's going on in the mind of the other person across the table. Part of the synergy of our organization is that we have put together people who are like-minded. And that gives us the opportunity and gives them the opportunity to work with each other, network, and build relationships with each other. It's not primarily a networking organization in the sense of doing business with each other. It's more to help you develop your business in a larger scale of helping you with strategy.
Right. You don't have the insurance guy selling to the printer guy selling to, exactly. Mark, I want to delve more into the programs and some of the things that the EA does for its membership, for the school, in conjunction with the school, moving forward to our future as, you know, the top business association, if business owners association around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say we're going to sign off now. We're going to come right back with another webisode of this. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back.